have gotten these chapters early. Well, we got the other chapters, so I'm just glad we got these early. At the beginning I didn't really think we would get them early, but we did, so for that I am very grateful. Although it still hasn't answered one very big thing, and that is, even though the power level and all that stuff was a pretty neat concept, was it really necessary still to introduce that? I mean, now we have this chapter in Nanatsu no Taizai that seems to hint that technically these two shouldn't be able to scratch Fraudrin, because he has a very high power level, and yet they still can fight with him. And I mean, Saratara's paralyzed by facing the other Ten Commandments, or are you saying that Fraudrin doesn't have that big power because he is in Dreyfus's body? Who knows? Either way, hi for those who are watching. It's the angry anime fan, the despair reviewer, bringing you the summary of Nanatsu no Taizai chapter 192. Merlin is happy to get a new specimen. I hope she can get some hope. And Fraudrin decides to flee, strangely enough. Well, I always knew he was the most cowardly and weakest of the Ten Commandments, although his power level doesn't seem to hint that he is the weakest. But he is the most cowardly one. And I mean, I can't understand that guy. Why does he retreat? Is it because he is terrified of how kind of power Merlin has? Or, I mean, technically he should be able to slaughter all. His power level is that high. Or is it the fact that, well, he's still in Dreyfus' body, and it's only strong like that? Well, then, the one who stops Dreyfus from moving on is Hendrickson, who, despite having committed many sins, he says he needs to do this. And even though he uses purge, it's still not enough to purge through Fraudrin from Dreyfus' soul. And so they begin to clash, with Fraudrin getting the upper hand, as he still wonders why Hendrickson does this. In a way, we can also agree, because when he was turned out he was brainwashed, everything made sense, but at the same time it was very confusing. Mostly because TV Tropes still hasn't changed Hendrickson's profile. But what is most strange for me is the fact that what does drive Hendrickson? He was brainwashed, that was confirmed. Still, it was a very convincing brainwashing. And he has done many sins under that brainwashing, so what should he do? Well, he will keep on fighting. And he will free his friends so they can cross that bridge together. Even if there is no point in no return and no atonement. Which is actually good. And then a very strong lightning attack happens, which is called Thunder God's Purge. And it's Saratara's, revealing apparently that Gil Thunder's power is not just Gilfunder's power. He inherited it from his father, which would probably mean that he should have druid powers too. Hendrickson cannot believe this illusion, so Ratras breaks him out of that thought with just pinching his cheek. And so the two knights begins to duel, and even though they manage to wound Fraudrin, they still cannot defeat him very much. So and as Hendrickson reveals, he cannot use purge on on Fraudrin. The great druid Holy Knight says he may very well have another key, but then the chapter ends, so we don't see what that is. Next chapter is called The Steeled Captain of the Holy Knights. So what is that? Does that mean that he's now going to show his true value? And again, the argument about power level. I mean, again, I will repeat that word very much this video. Fraudrin's power level is very high, and yet Hendrickson still can fight that way, or is Fraudrin not even trying? In fact, one can actually question oneself. He once threatened Death Piers that he would... next time we fought, he would discard his armor. Not armor, his shell, meaning Dreyfus. So does that mean that Fraudrin's real power level only exists when he's outside of Dreyfus? We may be able to see that true form yet. Still, is not exactly sure if that's the case. I mean, it's obvious that the other 10 Commandments don't hold Fraudrin in high regard anymore, or at all, mostly because of the way he is always clinging into that human body of Dreyfus, which they despise. But I'm also beginning to wonder, is Fraudin really that big of a threat? And when I mean that, I mean he's saying his true power is the real deal. Then why doesn't he just discard that shell and get it over with? He says he has grown attached to Dreyfus, or is he implying that if he does free Dreyfus, Dreyfus may very well have the power to kill them? Because, in a way you think about it, Dreyfus' power will seems to be an absolute power if his will is the right will, so to speak. So, so I'm thinking maybe that's the key to defeating the Ten Commandments. Or maybe just Fraudrin isn't as strong as we think. And ever since that bout with Meliodas, he still hasn't recovered his wounds, and therefore he needs that shell. Don't know, but I hope we will see Fraudrin's ability. We have already got a name on where it's something gross size or something. So I hope we will see it. But either way, this despair needs to end soon. So as two friends fight off against no, as one friend and one brother fights off against the shell that is their friend and brother, one wonder what will happen. But it's clear that Saratras do not blame them for these needs. So the key to redemption is slowly getting here. Maybe. Give me your thoughts if you have any.